Hello and welcome. Today we are digging into the terrifying 2024 supernatural horror film, Exhuma. This is a story that starts with a mysterious illness and uncovers a dark, buried secret that is much older and more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The movie begins by showing us a scene of quiet panic. The infant son of a very wealthy Korean-American businessman named Pat is ill. This isn't a normal sickness. It is a mysterious disease that has left even the best doctors completely baffled. They have failed to diagnose it. With all avenues of modern medicine exhausted, Pat's desperate family turns to the world of the supernatural. They turn to Korea for help and call upon the shamans, those special people who can communicate with souls and spirits while still living in this world. These individuals solve people's problems related to the unseen entities, the ghosts and curses that haunt the living. The young, confident shaman Haram, who arrives at the family's expensive American home with her assistant. Although the child's mother did not believe in such things, they had no other option left to save their son. Haram begins her work. She performs some rituals to check the child. She chants, rings a bell, and throws rice, watching how it scatters. She doesn't see a disease. She sees a spiritual attack. She finds out that the issue with the child is a grave's shadow. It is a curse connected to his grandfather or great-grandfather. To discuss this further, Haram visits Pat's main home, where she learns more about the family's dark history. Pat's father, the child's grandfather, is paralyzed and sick. The great-grandfather, meanwhile, died 100 years ago, and his grave is still in Korea. Pat also tells Haram a chilling fact. Every eldest child born in their family faces a similar issue. He explains that his older brother also died from a mysterious illness as a child, and now his own son is suffering, as she can see. After listening to everything, Haram reassures Pat that everything will be fine, but the problem is big. They will need the help of more people, as this is not a simple haunting. They will need a team, and they might even need to go to Korea to find the source of the curse. The scene cuts to Korea. A man named Kim, who is a master of feng shui. He is an expert who understands the layout of the land, the flow of energy, and the spirits of the earth. His job is to find the perfect places for the deceased to be buried, so that their souls can rest in peace and not have any problems. If the souls are troubled, they tend to disturb their families. An old lady had started to appear in her family's dreams, disturbing them. The family was worried about her grave. However, according to Kim, the issue was not with her grave but because her grandson had hidden her false teeth, which made her angry. Once her teeth were returned to her grave, the problem was resolved. Afterward, we see Haram meeting Kim at a graveyard. Haram tells him about Pat, the very wealthy businessman, whose family has a strange issue. Every eldest son born in their family falls ill. This problem is connected to the land of Korea because their great-grandfather is buried here. Haram needs Kim's expert help to find this grave and solve their problem. As soon as Kim hears the details, he agrees to help. The next day, Pat also comes to meet Kim in Korea. He needs to perform an exhumation for his great-grandfather. Exhumation means opening a grave and relocating the buried person to another grave, usually by cremating them. He needed all the information from Kim for this difficult task, and he was doing all this for his son's treatment. Pat takes Kim to his great-grandfather's grave, which is on top of a remote, dark hill. It wasn't a proper cemetery, and Kim immediately feels that something is wrong. There are many foxes roaming around the grave, which is a very bad sign in his profession. Additionally, there was no nameplate on the grave, just a large, ominous stone. Pat explains that his great-grandfather was a general, and this grave was allotted to him by the army. Kim still couldn't understand why this particular place was chosen, as it didn't even look like a proper tomb. He uses his special tools to read the land and is horrified by what he finds. He realizes that the problem is with this location. He discusses it with Haram, telling her that the grave is in the worst possible location. He told her that there was a lot of evil here, a lot of demonic presence, and he could sense these negative powers. Kim also refuses to work there. He tells Haram that this is too dangerous, that digging here might endanger their lives. This worried Haram as well. Later that night, Haram, Kim, and Pat meet again. Kim explains that his daughter is about to get married soon, and he cannot take such a terrible risk. Hearing this makes Pat emotional. He breaks down and tells them that his son is dying. His words, filled with a father's pain, made both Haram and Kim emotional. Therefore, Haram decides that she will help Pat no matter what. She tells Kim that they can dig up the grave, and she will perform a powerful ritual at the same time. This ritual would distract the wandering spirits of the mountain and make their work easier, protecting them from the evil of the land. Kim likes this idea and agrees to the plan. The next day, the exhumation work begins. Pat's aunt, who was the daughter of the great-grandfather, was also present because the grave couldn't be dug without her permission. Haram had brought all the necessary items for her ritual, which included 5 pigs to be sacrificed. She also had 5 workers to dig the grave. As the grave digging work started on one side, Haram began performing her powerful ritual to distract the evil on the other side. With loud drums, chanting, and her assistant helping, Haram performed a trance dance. She played with knives and swords, swiping them at the air. In the process, she even cut her own face and then drank the blood of the pigs tied nearby. Her trance ritual continued, growing more intense as the workers dug deeper and deeper, until the great-grandfather's bones were unearthed. After the bones were taken out of the grave, a worker found a snake with a human head inside the grave. This was a very bad sign, a guardian of the grave. Worse still, the worker, in a panic, killed it without informing anyone. As soon as this happened, the weather turned bad. Dark clouds rolled in, and a terrible rain began to fall. Kim, who had decided to cremate the great-grandfather's bones right there on the mountain, had to stop his work because of the rain. They wanted to do this quickly, because they believed that the great-grandfather's soul was attached to the bones, and could only find peace if they were cremated. This delay was extremely dangerous. A local man who was helping with the digging had heard rumors that the grave was filled with riches. Tempted by greed, this man, who learned about the grave being dug up, went back in the night and opened the great-grandfather's coffin, looking for treasure. This action resulted in the release of the enraged great-grandfather's soul. This was the most significant and dangerous event that had occurred. Haram, sensing the evil, sees him. She starts performing a ritual to control the great-grandfather's soul. But it might be too late. The grandfather's soul had already reached his home in America, where Pat's family lived. Upon arriving, the spirit, now a powerful ghost, attacks and kills Pat's father and his wife. The ghost then starts haunting and frightening Pat. Pat is extremely scared, hiding in his hotel room in Korea when he receives a call from Kim. On the phone, Kim explains that the grandfather's soul has been freed and is now coming to kill him. He warns Pat to be very careful. While Kim is still on the phone, there is a knock on the door. When Pat asks who it is, a voice says it is Kim. This confused Pat because Kim was also on the phone with him. The Kim on the phone tells Pat not to open the door, as it could be the grandfather's soul. He advises Pat to be careful, and mentions that he is coming to help him soon, but he can open the window. Using Kim's advice, Pat doesn't open the door but opens the window instead, allowing the soul to enter. This reveals that the grandfather's soul had orchestrated the entire setup. The soul was talking on the phone pretending to be Kim, while the real Kim was at the door, coming to save Pat. When the real Kim gets the hotel staff to unlock Pat's room, he finds that Pat is completely possessed by the grandfather's soul. In the possessed state, the grandfather's soul tells Kim why he is so angry. He explains that during the war between Japan and Korea, the great-grandfather had betrayed his own people. He was a traitor who helped the Japanese, and in return, he earned a lot of money, which allowed his entire family to move to America and prosper. However, they never came back to check on the people they betrayed, nor did they visit or pray at their graves. This betrayal and neglect were the reasons for his immense anger. Then, in front of Kim's horrified eyes, the possessed Pat kills himself. As he is dying, Pat tells Kim in a strange voice that a fox has attacked the spine of the tiger. Kim doesn't understand what this means. The only way Kim could stop the soul from killing Pat's baby next was to tell Haram to burn the great-grandfather's bones. However, to burn the bones, they needed the permission of the great-grandfather's daughter, the aunt. Kim immediately calls her and explains that the grandfather's soul is now going to kill the innocent child, and to save his life, they need to burn the bones instead of reinterring them. The daughter agrees, and the great-grandfather's bones are finally burned. As the bones turn to ash, the grandfather's soul is destroyed, freeing everyone from his terror. However, the story did not end with the grandfather's soul. There was still a major twist. After the grandfather's soul was gone, Kim meets the worker who had first opened the grave. The man was being tormented by terrible dreams of large snakes with human heads. Terrified, the man tells Kim that these snakes are going to kill him. When Kim asks since when this has been happening, the man replies that it started when he found the human-headed snake inside the grave and killed it by cutting off its head. To uncover the truth, Kim returns to the great-grandfather's grave. He finds the dead snake, whose head looked like that of a female, considered highly evil. Without thinking much, Kim digs deeper into the grave and discovers a second, massive, standing coffin underneath. Seeing this, he immediately calls Haram and her team to the site. Together, they managed to pull out the giant coffin. But they still couldn't understand why this coffin was placed beneath the great-grandfather's grave. This coffin was sealed on all sides with thick metal bands. Since it was midnight, they couldn't do much with it. So they decided to store it in a nearby temple for safety. They were concerned that there might be an evil spirit inside that could easily escape. Therefore, Haram performed some strange rituals with blessed herbs and rice to seal the coffin before they left. To uncover the mystery, Kim and Haram visit the great-grandfather's daughter. They ask her why such a large coffin was placed beneath his grave. She then reveals a shocking secret. The great-grandfather couldn't have been a traitor to Korea, because he wasn't even Korean. He was actually Japanese. This adds more confusion as to why the Japanese buried him there. The scene then cuts to Haram's assistant, who is guarding the coffin at the temple. He is being frightened by strange noises. Reciting some mantras to control his fear, he goes to check the coffin. He sees a terrifying figure, about 7 feet tall, crouched in the shadows, eating a human body. Terrified, he calls out to Haram. Haram, who is sleeping, is having a dream where she learns something from her grandmother, who was also a powerful shaman. Hearing her assistant's voice, Haram starts to leave, but her grandmother's spirit grabs her hand as if she had seen a great danger. Despite this, Haram rushes outside to her frightened assistant. Together, they find the coffin is now open and empty. The 7-foot man, or ghost, seen by the assistant had emerged from it. Inside the coffin, they also find a helmet, which belonged to a Japanese samurai or general. They realize that whoever was in this coffin was indeed a samurai soldier. Meanwhile, the general who had emerged from the coffin arrives outside the room. Seeing him, Haram hides. The general, speaking in an ancient Japanese dialect, asks if there is a human in the room. Haram replies no, saying she is just a servant of the local tree spirit. The ghost of the general then asks if she has his favorite food. Apologetically, Haram responds that she does not. The general realizes that there is indeed a human inside the room. Before he can attack Haram, her assistant arrives and saves her, attacking the general with a spear. However, the attack has no effect on the general, indicating that he has become a very dangerous ghost. The general grabs the assistant. He stabs his hand into the assistant's stomach and tears his body apart. Before the ghost can harm Haram, Kim arrives. The sight of the ghost horrifies them. Just then, the ghost hears a rooster crowing, indicating that morning is near. Realizing this, the ghost transforms into a ball of fire and flies away. For now, they were safe, and they had learned that this ghost is at full strength at night but cannot use its powers in the morning. They rush Haram's assistant to the hospital. He is still breathing but is in a coma. Kim now goes back to that same grave. It was crucial to end this story. At the hospital, they find that Haram's assistant has regained consciousness. But when he wakes, his eyes are strange, and he speaks in Japanese. Haram and Kim realize he is possessed by the ghost of that big general. From the possessed assistant, they learn that the ghost is protecting something in that grave. To find out what it is, Kim goes to the grave again. He wants to find the answers to his questions. What is it here that the demon was protecting? Standing there, Kim remembers the dying words of Pat. A fox has attacked the spine of the tiger. Kim suddenly realizes that the map of Korea is shaped exactly like a tiger. The grave is located on its spine. He pieces together the horrifying truth. During the war, the Japanese army, led by a sorcerer, tried to destroy Korea. They pressed giant, cursed metal rods deep into the ground all over the country. This was a dark ritual meant to disturb the positive and negative energy of the land and kill Korea. The Koreans found and removed most of these rods, but they could not find the last and most important one. The Japanese had buried that final rod inside the body of their most powerful general. They performed a dark ritual, cutting the general's body, placing the metal rod inside it, and burying him standing up, like a stake driven into the heart of the land. The general was so brave and fierce that even after his death, his soul was bound to the rod, protecting it as a powerful ghost. Now, it all made sense. The Japanese great-grandfather, who was also a traitor, was buried on top of the general's coffin as a final deceptive seal to hide it forever. As soon as they understand all this, it is too late. Night falls, and it is time for the general's ghost to wake up. The ghost, now free from its coffin, rises from the earth, the metal rod glowing inside its body. Kim wants to stop it, but the ghost attacks and starts to possess him. To save Kim, Haram throws blood on the ghost, but it only recovers after a little pain and goes to attack Haram. At this moment, Kim, who saw the metal rod in the ghost's body, remembers his feng shui knowledge. The ghost is a being of metal and fire. Its natural enemy is wood. Kim's assistant arrives, carrying his tools, which are made of blessed wood. He applies his own blood to a wooden stake, and while Haram distracts the general, he stabs the ghost with it. The ghost of the general is finally destroyed. As the ghost dies, the last rod, which was buried in the land to destroy Korea, also shatters and comes out of the ground. On one hand, they have eliminated their biggest problem, this ghost, and on the other hand, they have also saved Korea. As soon as the ghost dies, Haram's assistant in the hospital, who was possessed, also wakes up, finally free. At the end of the story, Kim's daughter's wedding is shown. Kim looks relaxed and happy. He is joined by his team, Haram and her 2 assistants, who have all recovered. The story concludes here, showing all 4 of them finally safe and at peace. The movie perfectly ends here. If you want to watch good movies like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. We are sharing the most popular movies recaps. Thanks for watching.